Hello, good evening, noon, morning, wherever you are. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Michal Biran. I'm the founder of Nesting, co-parenting by choice, and a co-parent myself for two children, a daughter of 5 and a young boy who's a year and a half. And this is the first time we're hosting an event in English, starting our activity in the US. And we have very special guests here that will tell us a little bit about their stories. Each one will add an extra flavor of something that I hope will give you the broad spectrum of what is co-parenting by choice. Um, when we talk about co-parenting by choice, we mean two people that decide to have children together when they're not romantically involved. Usually, in different households, you'll see that it's not always like that, and they do the parenting together, but each one have their own lives, and we'll see how it works out. So we have three guests here tonight. First is Rabbi Amichai Lau-Lavie. We have the actor Moran Rosenblatt, and we have Jason Heeney. Each one of them will tell you little bit of why they're here, and I hope we'll have an amazing evening. I have to tell you that I am thrilled. We have been waiting for this moment for a long time. So we're just about to start. So, Rabbi, you're the first one. I'm giving you the mic.
Thank you very much for welcoming me. Hi, friends. Um, Nice to see those of you whose faces I see and other people who are off camera. I hope you're getting the full experience. So my name is Amichai. I was born in Israel. I've been living in New York since 97, where I came to explore life and my career and other things. And in I grew up in a very Orthodox Jewish family, and at some point left the Orthodoxy that I grew up with and left Israel and explored other ways of being Jewish and being queer. And one of the uh, sort of most serious moments of my coming out was sitting with my mother in my parents' kitchen shortly after coming out. This is in the mid 90s when I was in my 20s, and her devastation that I won't have children. Like that was really her biggest concern, that I'll be lonely, like all the usual, but really like that there won't be children. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I didn't really have a plan. In my mid 30s, living in New York City, I was approached by a friend of mine who was living with her girlfriend at the time. And they were considering having children and wanted me to consider being their sperm donor and become a known sperm donor. In other words, that we just talked about one child at the beginning, that there'll be some sort of a relationship with a child, but not a co-parenting in the sense of any legal obligation or financial obligation, but an involvement with the children's life in some way. My initial reaction was yes. I wasn't really strategic about how and if children are a priority, but I felt like these hands can hold a child, that I have the genes of being a father, and if there's a creative way in this privileged moment we have in the world right now, right, this was almost 20 years ago, to do that in a creative way, why not? And I felt like Mother Earth was saying to me, come on, do it. And it was just about logistics. I asked for some time to consult with my family, with some friends, with a therapist, and then came back to them, and we started co-creating a process of just shared goals. And I asked for us to meet with a therapist and to create an agreement that's not necessarily legally binding, but for us to ask all the questions about what it might mean to come into a relationship this way and what will be the benefit of the child or the children, what are going to be our issues. And we spent some time going through it. Some of it was very easy and some of it was not. For instance, I can say now, like 20 years later, the title. Like they um, didn't feel comfortable me using anything that has father or anything in it, but I didn't want to be known as biodad or donor. Like that, like officially, yes, but like what are the kids going to call you? Um, and I said at some point, how about Abba? Which is the Hebrew for father, and they're like, okay. And so the kids, well, I'll get to that in a moment. But so anyway, it was a long process. We got there. We of the two women who were involved with me, first one of them through IVF became pregnant and eventually gave birth to our oldest Alice, who just turned 18. And then later on, the second partner through IUI, through like a more home-based situation, created life. And Ezra was born, and he's now 16. And Charlie Halel, who goes by Kai, was born after, and they just turned 14. And they are now a they. See how that goes, but that's cool. Um, so the three children were raised in one home with the two mothers, and I lived not far away, and sort of negotiated how often I'm there and what's the relationship. And pretty soon, and I mean, each kid is their own world, and it took a few years. From the very get-go, my parents back in Jerusalem were very supportive, and really, these were grandchildren. And when we went to Israel, which we did often, they got to know them and they got to know the rest of the family. And I, of course, got to know the rest of the family here in New York, the different families. And it was a very unusual, but creative and beautiful family. About 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, the two women decided to split. And so that was a whole process of but the kids' well-being at first, and in some ironic way, as the sort of biological link between them, it only strengthened my relationship with the kids, which continues very firmly till today. So that's sort of my story in a nutshell. I'll just add one more anecdote, and if you want, I can share my screen and show you a photo.
We
Uh,
will.
I downloaded a couple. So first of all, I want to say that there were speed bumps, right? Like, and as there are always. I remember when we were just, when I was agreeing to have a second child with this couple, but with a second mom. And I went to my older brother, who's a rabbi in Israel, and I said, listen, this is what I'm planning. And he said, okay. And he said, you're basically these are experiments in human life. Like there isn't enough data whether what you're doing is going to be good for the kids. Like, what if they break up? I remember he asked me, and I'm like, there's a clause in the contract we created. What happens if they break up? We're all going to do the best we can. Um, which is indeed what ended up happening. And for sure, there were speed bumps and there were issues between us about my role and participation, but pretty much we worked it out. And the kids always, first and foremost, are the priority. And they are amazing kids. So I'm very, very honored, privileged, and grateful that I've had this opportunity. And I'll show one last thing, which is there's a film that just came out about my life called Sabbath Queen. It's a documentary, 21 years in the making. It's now in New York and it's in festivals and it's about queer Jewish resistance and many other things. And my children are in there, and that part of my life is in there, and of course with consent and everything. And we did a talk back last night, and there was a beautiful conversation. And somebody said to me something that, of the many, many conversations over the film, I haven't heard. And she said, the scene where I cried the most is when halfway through the movie, there is a story of your children, and we see you with one of them at one of the baby namings. And she said, the reason that I cried, in addition to all of your political and spiritual and leadership work, there was a scene earlier in the film where my mother was interviewed and said how heartbroken she was that I won't have children. And one of my children is calling me right now. Sorry. Uh, And my mom, and I remember that conversation in the kitchen, and she talks about it. She's like, how can you not, like, you are not going to have children? And how heartbroken she was over that. And that was sort of laying there in the room as one of the ways that, we are all dealing with our own regrets and wishes and our parents, whether backgrounds we come from. And the fact that at some point during the film, that tension was resolved, and the notion that I did not bring kids to the world to satisfy my parents or to satisfy the Jewish thing to avenge Hitler and have more children or the perpetuity of the tribe. None of that. I just felt like my genes wanted to continue in a crazy world, in a situation that was enabled. But this woman said that was a turning point in the film and in your life where you, by becoming someone who helps raise children, responded to the anxiety of your parents over who you are as a queer man, as someone who lives his life differently. And that's the beginning of the shift of your life. And I said, you're right. This film is not about me being also a father, but when that first happened and Alice was born in 2006, my life changed. I held this baby and I'm like, okay, I'm now,
Sorry, oh, someone is.
yeah. Anyway, so if you are and whatever, I'll put the link for Sabbath Queen in the chat. And if you
You can
want,
share. You can share screen now. I opened
okay,
the
hold on. So
link.
I'm just gonna open a photo and just show you a more recent one of my kids and me. This is from a year ago. 1 second. And I'm happy, of course, to answer any more questions.
But
But
we'll
this
do
is
the question in the end after all.
so I hope you can see it. There's the kids, there's Kai, there's Alice, there's Ezra, quite a bunch of kids. And I'm very grateful and honored to be with you. And I hope this helps many of you embrace the possibilities, ask the questions, and do what you do to make
Thank you
life more
very,
meaningful and helpful.
thank you very much, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Uh, the next speaker is Moran Rosenblatt. You might have seen her with some TV shows. We Were the Lucky Ones and Hit and Run. And she's also a co-parent for a very cute baby. And now I want you to tell the people that joined us what made you think of co-parenting in the first place? Like, how did you hear about it? How did you come to even consider it?
Okay, so hi everybody. Good evening, good morning. Um, yes, I have a very, very cute 9-month baby. So I live in Tel Aviv in Israel. Like Rabbi Amichai said, the Jewish people loves children, and so the very big community in Tel Aviv, the LGBT plus community in Tel Aviv, also um, um, started to want children many years ago. So the co-parenting thing is very developed, I guess, in Israel. That's why we're bringing it now to the rest of the world. I worked with people around the world, and it was a kind of a new thing to share with people outside of Israel. So. Sorry. So we are in advance, at least in
Mhm.
one thing. Um, so
But as a like, how did you get to think about it?
yeah, no, I'm just starting with the
Yeah.
base thing. So actually, I was in a relationship that ended after 4.5 years. I thought I was 30 something. I knew that my um, inside parts are starting to need to be rushed, and I thought I'm gonna have children with my partner. That was, and we broke up, and Then I lost my father right in the same time. And in the Shiva uh, of my father, I woke up one of the days and I realized that I think I need to be a mother for the first time. I was 33 and I didn't have the anything in me that wanted it before. Um, so I knew two friends that wanted to have children, and we started to talk about it, the three of us. And then I got cold feet, and I wasn't prepared to be a mother yet. I wanted to. It was also a stage in the process, but they were really into it very fast, and I wasn't ready. I remember the day that I looked in the mirror in my shitty apartment that I lived in back then. I looked at the mirror and flashbacks from my childhood that I grew up. My parents were separated, and I grew up with my mother. And I remembered it at that time as a sad moment, like to be alone with her, and I imagined it. Um, and I sat on my rug and I started to cry for 2 hours, and then the next day I told them to continue alone, and they did the process by themselves with pundakait, how do you say
Surrogate.
it? With the surrogate.
Mhm.
Um, and when they continued, when I lost them, I felt that I want them back, but they were gone already, and I decided that I want to go to find someone to do co-parenting with. I didn't want to put this pressure on my maybe future um, girlfriend. I didn't want to start a relationship with this rush to have children. And I wanted the time for that and the time for that. So I spread the rumor to some friends, and a week and a half later, some friend sent me a picture of Shy. I liked his look, not only the appearance, but his eyes. Um, and then we met. And Shai was 10 years, almost 10 years in this process. He already started the process with a girl, and um, stuff went wrong and they separated. She wasn't pregnant, like they didn't have any children, and me and Shai started to meet. Um, uh, I think we liked each other since the beginning. I came very open that it wasn't very much like me to come open to meet someone and not to be judgy, but I wasn't. Um, it was easier for me to meet him as a maybe future father than to meet like a girlfriend. It was harder to like a girl than to like a possible future father. So we started to go to every restaurant in Tel Aviv. Like we met every week or two, drink, eat. We didn't talk at all about parenting. Like we both knew that this is what we wanted, but we just dated for 6 months or something, until we said at one evening that we like each other and we want to continue. And then we met Michal, she has in Tel Aviv this place that also use also like help people to
Facilitate
help people to
co-parenting.
know each other, but also make the contract. And we met, and and Michal, I think most of what we did is to confront the everything we didn't want to confront. She asked us the hard questions, and we went home and asked ourselves.
Do you want maybe to share like the basic thing, like you're an actor, you're an international actor,
Yes, I
how
started work out abroad, and we needed to figure out, like for instance, what we do if I get a big part, a big role. I need to go for a year. How do we do it? Can he transfer his job? He's an editor, so specifically, Shai can transfer his work, but also it's not something that will be easy now, even though we understood that this is my job and I need to continue to do it. We figure out until the very small details that who needs to pay for this travel and what is like if I go and it's not like partners that if I fulfill myself and I get my bank account bigger, he won't get anything from that except for like a thank you. So we need to figure out those hard questions that we need to figure out. And now we have like in when I was pregnant, we started to go to therapy from once in a while to continue. We decided that we'll throw every problem to our therapist, and she will deal with everything. But a lot of problems are there because it's a relationship and we don't sleep together. We're not sleeping together every evening and talk about the day and the difficulties and what went wrong today and what angered us and what made us angry. And we can't hug it or kiss it. So we have to find system that works for us to, and we're still searching and figuring it out. I
how did it
jumped at
feel?
the end.
Yes, like your son is how old is he?
9 months.
Can you tell us a little bit how life goes? How did it went when you had the baby? Like how's the beginning?
Yes. So we decided with Michal, we decided to do a completely half and half. For me, it was, I think it was a gift for my father that didn't raise us. I wanted Shai to have it. I didn't know what it's like to be a mother. Now I'm maybe wouldn't do it after becoming a mother and knowing that I have it's very difficult to be separated from your baby, but also it does wonders for my relationship with my partner and his relationship with his partner. And
Can you explain? I'm not sure people understand
Yeah,
why.
so half and half, we decided that the first half year, the baby is with the mother usually because of breastfeeding, and he was inside of me, so it takes time to separate. Um, Half a year, Shai slept at our place 2 nights in a week. He had Jonah's room. He slept with him in his room. He fed him bottles that I like for my milk. And we were in the next room. This is what happened for 6 months. And then he started slowly to sleep at Chai's place. First one night a week, and then 2 nights. One now we're doing 2.5 nights. 1 week 3 nights, 1 week 2 nights. We're taking it um, we're trying to hear the baby and how he reacts to the translation, and we will split everything financially, and in the end, the week will be splitted like day, whatever we decided, we'll decide in the I guess every age of the boy will be different, but one day here, one day there, 2 days, whatever we
Do you
decide.
live do you live nearby?
We live, yes, we live like 10 minutes walking distance. We agreed to try to stay as close as possible. If we could live in the same building, we would. Renting a place in Tel Aviv there are not a lot of good apartments, so it's hard. But if we could, we would.
Our
It would.
guests here are from New York and California, so they know
Yeah,
what.
New York. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and we decided like about I think anything we could think about the future of this relationship, um, when we did the contract. Of course, we couldn't know everything because we never experienced being parents. Everything changed. I didn't know the one thing that I didn't know is that I will be in love, and so this is the first thing. But one more thing that happened with us is that kind of right at the beginning that we decided we'll do it. Both of us knew our partners, and we are together for 4 years now, or 3 and something years, each of us. And our partners, when I was pregnant, we decided that my partner will be a mother, will be, I don't know if you know it, Michal, but my partner is like, it's not legal, three parents, like she can be listed, but we shook hands or decided that we both are mothers, and Chai is a father, and his partner now is very involved, but now is not called a father, but maybe he will with time. Um, this is our situation.
I saw that some people already started asking questions. We're going to the last speaker, and then we'll try to answer all the questions. So Moran, thank you. I think people probably will have more questions in the end. And last but not least, Jason Heeney is a consultant. His boy is 14.
14.
14. He had a very unusual path to co-parenting, I think. But I think it's really interesting, and you can learn a lot about it, especially that now, like you've been doing it for a period of time, and you had a lot of experience co-parenting. So Jason, please share with us your story.
Thanks everyone for being here with us. My story is sort of a hybrid of a lot of the others, but so I have a 14-year-old son with a friend. And the friend is Israeli, but I'm American and was living in the United States while she was living here in Israel. And the situation encountered that she had heard of this model of co-parenting 15 or 16 years ago and had started to embark on this concept. And she approached me and asked if I would be interested in creating a family with her. And we took a significant amount of time, a year, to think about it, and to understand sort of our values and our morals to make sure that we were aligned on the big issues. And as everyone who's a parent, no matter your orientation, parenting is hard. And so it requires a lot of open communication. And so we started by seeing, like, can we engage each other in these kinds of conversations and make this situation tenable for us? Obviously, the answer was yes. And we had decided that when our son was born, that I was looking for something new in my life, and so I moved to Tel Aviv for a year. The plan was for 1 year to be a stay-at-home dad, and
How
and
did your family react to you coming to live in Israel?
well, my family thinks I'm crazy, so for them it was just like another iteration of my ridiculousness.
Mhm.
I should mention that I came to Israel. I'm not Jewish, and so it added. There's some cultural questions that we also had to factor in during the course of our conversations about having a child together. How would we raise our child? How would we determine our son's name, etc., which turned out to be the fastest aspects of our process. But we decided that also because I would be moving from abroad, that we would choose to live together in the beginning, and that we would operate our family structure as amicably divorced couples who can't afford to separate houses. So we rented an apartment that was large enough that we could each have our own room. We were friends enough to be able to support each other in having social lives and to continue to build on our own personal lives, even though, right, together we were raising a child, and it was challenging at times to particularly to bring home partners or others and to explain to them like who we are and how we work. Um, Eventually, I met my partner now. He and I have been together for 11 years. So he's been a part of my son's life since he was 3. Um, and and for a period of time, the four of us lived together. And we decided to sort of be a family. And eventually we decided it was appropriate for us to separate. And she got an apartment across the street. So our family dynamic and family relationship is very close. I would say, sort of much like Moran, like we did not develop a contract or have any legal documentation about how we would interact or engage. We and there are moments when maybe that would have been a little bit more helpful for us, but by and large, I think it's the great benefit that we see in this kind of co-parenting relationship is that A, we don't have the messy parts of a sexual relationship or a love relationship that can sometimes get in the way of parenting. And so we had to focus a lot on communication and making sure that we were able to talk with each other, as Moran sort of mentioned earlier, right? That we couldn't at the end of the day sort of hug out our stress. We had to actually communicate with each other our stress or our anxieties or our concerns or our different parenting techniques and styles and figure out like how we were going to manage that with each other. Um, and it overall, I would say like it's been an amazing experience for me. The benefits and the ease of this experience have been tremendous. So I strongly encourage it. I think that it's a great process and a really wonderful opportunity if you're interested in being a parent and you can find someone who's also interested in being a parent and you share, you know, 60-70% of values and goals. I think you're in a great place to begin the conversation for what this could look like. And I don't think there's a single formula that works well. In my case, it worked well for us to live together. We have friends who, in their case, it worked well for them to not live together. And and to have very clear sort of contractual obligations to each other so they understood what was happening. And I have friends, most of my friends in the United States who have a similar kind of situation are much more like Rabbi Amichai's situation, where a lesbian couple has found someone to participate in their creation of a family, as opposed to individuals like choosing to do this on their own. But it's at the end of the day, I think it's the same in that these are we are creating a family between two groups of people who are not romantically linked to each other, but who instead have by our own choices and by our own decisions and drive or desire to be a part of something bigger, have chosen to make a family. And that has been and I think continues to be a real joy and something that if we can help any of you to be able to walk down this path, I'm thrilled to be able to make that possible for you.
Thank you very much. What nesting is doing is basically helping people find the right match. We have a matching consultant that will guide you every step of the way. We also have the app. It's really coming soon. If someone wants to try it, it's a good time because it's free now. For those who want to do it on their own. But basically, we think that the best way to find the right partner is like the old matchmaking way, somebody that knows exactly who you are and who you're looking for and do the right match and help every step of the way, especially when it's new, it's challenging, and it's easier when somebody that already went through this road can guide you through the road.